Alright, so I haven't made a video in a while, and the reason is I just don't have fuck all to talk about. I'm not on Discord anymore, so I'm running out of content to farm from people. Today, though, I got an interesting laptop in. My friend sent me oh, sorry, Dell Rugged Book 5420, and I just paid him back for shipping. It was like 20 bucks or something. So, what's important about this laptop? So, currently I have a Starlight from Star Labs. Core booted Linux tablet is just running Ubuntu right now. Eventually, though, it will not run Ubuntu, and I'm gonna kind of start discussing a bit what I'm up to, what I'm working on. So, as you might have gathered from this channel, I don't really talk about it much because there's not a lot to talk about right now. But I am developing a Linux distribution for people with paralysis. I obviously have a girlfriend that has paralysis. If you've seen her before, Mariah. Uh, but I also want this to be usable for like caregivers, so a lot of people are giving me suggestions on what to add, but I've got kind of a narrow set of like generic things I need to support and a list of bugs I need to work out. So the distro itself should be fine. Most of my problems are coming from upstream. So right now we're using GNOME, and GNOME we're using because you have to use Wayland. Wayland's obviously very important for this because we are using touch accessibility. Now, touch accessibility doesn't just mean that it needs to have an interface that works well on a tablet. That's important, but the main thing is you need to be able to use it without precise movements, have a full on-screen keyboard that's capable of maneuvering, manipulating, maintaining, whatever the fuck you want to call it, a Linux desktop. You could use Windows, but honestly, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but there is a use case for people that want Linux on their computers in order to like run servers, do other, but they have trouble accessing a physical keyboard. So right now it runs GNOME because there is an extension called GJS OSK, and what GJS OSK does is it is a full Linux, or sorry, not Linux, a full on-screen keyboard with function keys, modifiers, navigation cluster, all the good stuff, and it also supports key repeating because what we're dealing with is people that cannot use a physical keyboard. If you have to press a button, that's too much effort. If they have to be able to use a precise hand gesture, like for touch, or use two hands to do it, that's too much as well. So I've got GNOME, but I've also got a ton of GNOME extensions up, and these extensions are FlyPy. I've got a bunch of other stuff like docs. I've got um, I can't really show you my. I might record my desktop at one point. This is all kind of up in the air right now. But I've got like rotation buttons in case you need to rotate the tablet. Sorry, I've got some other extensions going on right now, but that's kind of the gist of it, right? You need to be able to manipulate your tablet with a sort of a pie menu, and that allows you to not only not use click and drag, but also you can do double tap. So you're able to tap once, tap in the general area of where you need to tap, and something will launch or a command will run or something like that. So I've got FlyPy set up to do a few things. Let me check what those are. I have minimize, maximize, close. Why isn't my FlyPy working? Okay. But anyways, so I have FlyPy going, and it does. You have to be able to full screen an application. You have to be able to minimize, maximize, and probably open File Explorer. That's another one. Maybe open your browser, but you can just pin that to the dock, honestly. So there's a full taskbar. There's a full dock and everything. And what it needs to be is it needs to be able to work without a keyboard present. So like if I were to remove the keyboard from my Starlight, or yeah, I should be able to use the tablet fully without that. There are a few bugs with the Starlight tablet I found, like sometimes the keyboard stops working or input stop working or whatever. Like I can't get FlyPy working right now. I don't know why. FlyPy, where is my whatever? I'll figure it out later. Oh, there it is. What the fuck? Come on, you fucker. Anyways, yeah, there's a lot of kinks to be ironed out, but Oh yeah, and to close a window, that's another thing that needs to be done. So a lot of projects have asked me like what we need. You know, KDE's asked what we need, and right now it's basically just OSK. Get me the OSK, and I'll be fucking fine. Like I can't use Malite because it doesn't have navigation cluster, it doesn't have modifiers, it doesn't have fucking anything. It's a phone keyboard. It's meant to be used on a phone. For like KDE Mobile. That's the only one that works on Wayland, and I don't want to move back to X11 because I need Waydroid. There is a way to use Waydroid on X11, but I don't trust it. I don't trust it'll be maintained for very long, and it can't be used in production. Basically, it's got to be upstream. So what I'm waiting for is for KDE to put out their OSK. I've tried to install it on this install I'm using right now. That was a horrible idea because I think it depends on new KDE, and I don't want to switch to unstable. But it does just like crash on startup. It's missing something, or it's like faults or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. Um, so I'm waiting for that so I can use it in testing, but it needs to actually work first. So maybe I would install their immutable distro for a bit just to test out their keyboard until it goes stable. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know what they use. But yeah, it's very early in development. It looks from the looks of it, it looks like exactly what I need. So they've asked me what I need on it to use this, and there's a lot of things that can be done because there's a lot of details. You know, there's a lot of shit that goes into this, and it's hard. You know, like they'll ask for a whole checklist, and I send them like a fucking book of every single change that I would want in order to make this more touch accessible. And so if I was giving people a baseline, like what is the bare bones, everything you need, like can I sum it up in 2 lines, how accessible this needs to be? I would say it needs to be usable one-handed, one finger, and no precise movements. That's basically what I need. And if you have that, if you design everything around that, and you just keep that in mind, one finger, one touch, and no or sorry, one finger, one touch, no precise movements, you can pretty much like get everything the way it needs to be. So the reason we're using GNOME right now is we're actually stripping out a bunch of GNOME components and replacing them with KDE components because KDE, ironically, is the more touch accessible desktop environment. And I know people say don't be toxic to GNOME developers, but literally, like, the shit we're going through is like GNOME will say, we removed this accessibility feature because the people who needed it were too handicapped to tell us. That's basically the problem, is you have people that can't fucking move their arms. And so GNOME is like, oh, nobody needs this feature, because if they did need it, they would fucking post it on GitHub. And nobody does, because not a lot of people will have accessibility needs. Although when you get down to it specifically, I think it was like, what the fuck is my cat doing? Anyways, like 1% of the population or some shit has some sort of accessibility need. So that's important, right? You know, obviously, like everybody says, oh boy, accessibility, you know, but you start complaining about it and they're like, well, you don't have accessibility needs, what the fuck do you care? And I'm like, fuck off. Like, I'm trying to make the fucking accessibility thing. I'm trying to make this usable. It is important to me. But right now, everything's kind of up in the air until that OSK comes out, because once that happens, I'm going to start testing for them. And I'm just going to ditch GNOME. Like, I don't fucking need it. KDE does everything else I need it to do. So the main example I have is for GNOME fucking around is they used to have double panes in Nautilus, and this was really fucking useful if you needed touch accessibility. That was actually a really fucking useful feature, and they were like, fuck you, you don't need it anymore, fuck off. And I'm like, well, that would have been a really nice feature to keep because it was exactly something I need for for this distribution for touch accessibility, you know. And you know, it fucking kills me. It kills me so much because I know I can't like speak for everybody. I do have somebody that I use to give me information to test these systems. I've given her a laptop. We did end up doing it in a trade, but I mean, that was a really nice custom laptop I gave her. But, you know, I have somebody actually working on this shit who actually goes through every day, tests everything, make sure everything works. I use the same setup on my computer, and we go through it and we try to figure out what's wrong, you know? And we throw all these different use cases at it to see what exactly is going on, you know? So now I'm in the shit, and when I'm in it, then I start getting upset the same way as anybody who actually does have these accessibility needs does, because it's on my fucking system now. I'm actually using this like day to day. So yeah, it's been a trip. Like, I mean, a lot of people say that they want to donate or whatever to this project, and the things that I really need right now is I need really expensive hardware that is difficult to get a hold of, and I need somebody with like infrastructure to basically host the distribution, and maybe somebody that knows Ubuntu package managing. Although that may change later. I may go to Kubuntu because I do want to leverage PPAs. So Debian's not an option, but Ubuntu may be the thing we go with. Depending on how quickly they can get the KDE OSK is just going to depend. So, yeah, that's something to look forward to in the not too distant future, but somewhat distant future. Cosmic's System 76 Cosmic, they have interviewed me for this, although I haven't really talked to them because, like I said, waiting on them to actually implement shit. I've told them what I need, they just have to implement it. If they don't, then we can bitch at them. But otherwise, I'm just waiting because Cosmic's in fucking beta right now. If they had an OSK working, that would be like a starter, but without OSK, like, why the fuck am I bothering? I need to wait on you to actually release your product. That gets into a whole separate issue about not recommending Pop OS. I really want to so badly, but it's so fucking outdated right now, and it's pissing me off. But System 76 is working on it. They have my list of shit I need, and they just have to make it. But KDE is like so fucking close to being done. They just need that one thing, and I will be so happy. But somebody mentioned that he is using a Toby, not a Toby, but he has some sort of eye tracker he's using on KDE, and he was asking for a Wayland OSK, which makes me think that he's been using Wayland for his eye tracker, which I didn't think was a thing yet. Eye tracker, sadly, on Wayland, I don't trust the Toby apps or whatever, the open source ones. I don't know if I can use those yet. I would really like an open source option, but it has to be reasonably priced and accessible to caregivers, because that's kind of the whole point of this distribution is you should be able to download it as somebody who's not super tech savvy and set it up for somebody who maybe have an interest in it, you know. Obviously, we are competing with Windows and Mac OS, who have much better support for this kind of thing. I don't even know if Mac OS does, but like for right now, I mean, we are seriously like considering just going with Windows for now, because like there just isn't enough options on Wayland because they fucked us around with these fucking security things. Like, it's cool that you want to be more secure for enterprise and all that, but sometimes I need my fucking shit to work. you know, I actually need things to work on my computer. And you are breaking a lot of things that would be useful for accessibility. So, not to bitch about it too much, but um, yeah, I'm just waiting. Like, I'm just waiting. So right now, if you are thinking, like, if for whatever reason you see this video and you're like a huge fucking philanthropist, I need two things right now. I need a Tobii eye tracker 4A, 4P, something like that, whatever the 4 one is, and a 5 or a 5. I think I can get a 5 working in X11 right now. And that may be something we have to do is support an X11 version for people that just can't move their arms at all and need an eye tracker. That may be a thing we do. So, eye tracker, and there is a glass keyboard that I need because it is basically a touchscreen for a physical keyboard, which would eliminate the need for an OSK. So, if you've got fucking $300-$500 laying around that you want to throw at somebody's hopeless project, feel free. I don't think you want to spend that much money on this though, but if you have expertise in like package management, Linux development, that kind of thing, let me know. I can set you up with an environment and we can get this started. That's if you want to. It's basically just me working on this. I know nobody fucking watches these videos, you know. But I am hoping to have a full distribution out at some point. That would be useful for people. I want them to be able to use a desktop operating system to do their computing, rather than just having an Android tablet for people that may have like more techie kind of needs, because Mariah does, she needs like servers in Minecraft and all this other, games and stuff. And it's really hard to get that on a desktop. We're finding out because you need touch accessibility, but you're on a fucking desktop, you know? So there's a monitor which is probably not touchscreen, and the only options for a touchscreen monitor are like those $1,000 Wacom things, which are really cool, but I can't afford one, and I don't think a lot of people can afford them. So can I expect caregivers to get one of these? I can probably ask them to buy like a $300 laptop that'll do something, but can I expect them to like go out and buy $1,000 tablet, $300 keyboard, just a keyboard, or a $500 eye tracker or something, and then set it all up themselves? It wouldn't work out well for me. I don't think it'd be expensive, and I realize that having accessibility needs, not only do you probably get some sort of social security benefits of some sort, like for medical needs, maybe your insurance covers it. I don't know if they can justify this for, because like this is getting into like thousands of dollars. I mean, I know that's nothing compared to like an electric wheelchair, but I don't know if insurance is going to cover that kind of thing. I'm not a lawyer. I have applied for Social Security, but I don't think I'll get it. There's a lot going on, and it's hard to judge because uh, I don't have those kind of accessibility needs, so I don't know how people work in the system. It would be nice to have like political activism and be like, hey, you should support people buying these, or like maybe the government could manufacture accessibility keyboards like this. Now that we know they're a thing. And then there are cheaper options like laser keyboards. I've never tried one. I might get one. I don't even think I'd be able to use it. And even if I did, I wouldn't know how well it works for people with these issues. It could work, I don't know. It's confusing. And I don't know how well they work on Linux. That's another thing too, is a lot of this stuff is designed with Windows in mind, and some of it even for gaming, like eye trackers. We're not using it for gaming. Like, it's cool if you want to game, but Linux isn't like Linux can game now, but Linux can't accessibility game. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you've got like the Xbox adaptive control with anti-microx, or you got the Sony one, maybe that'll work. I don't own one. Again, if you want to throw $90 at me, I need a Sony adaptive controller because the Xbox One kernel panics unless you use an older kernel, so I'm trying to avoid Microsoft when possible. Their driver is basically not good for what we're doing. Sony has an open driver. It should work. I don't really know. I don't own one. I'm having somebody buy one. So Mariah's getting one. Hopefully it works for her. I've tested a actual PS5 controller because at the pawn shop I just bought in the PS5 controller, and so I tested it before I sent it to him. It seems to work fine on Linux. I had some trouble with USB cables, but they should come with one that does power and data. I had to like really dig through my shit and use like an adapter or something, like a USB-C adapter. It was confusing. Uh, but yeah, when we're talking about this distribution, like, because a lot of people will make a lot of suggestions, and I do have some experience not only with Linux but in kinda in production systems, so there's a lot of things I'm skeptical of or I'm scared to put in a production operating system. That's why, for instance, we're not using Arch, and we're going to wait for a stable version of KDE's OSK to come out, because it may come earlier on Arch, but I can't give a caregiver Arch as their production system. It, it just wouldn't work out for them. I've tried that before. It hasn't worked out. It's too bleeding edge, and that causes breakages at the at the more common side. But also, it's just difficult to maintain for somebody that doesn't really want to deal with Linux, because you don't really hire a caregiver for their technical expertise. So you do need, like, I will say though that you do need somebody who is motivated to use this distribution. So if you have somebody with cerebral palsy, they do need to be pretty technically savvy with Linux already in order to operate something like this. I won't be able to provide much support. That's kind of the main problem. I would need like a team to do that, to provide like technical support for this kind of thing. Uh, that's about all I can do, really. So it is coming along nicely, but like I said, I'm kind of not sitting on my thumbs right now because I am waiting for an entirely fucking new desktop environment to replace what I'm using. And that'll just change everything. Every single program will change, the whole workflow will change, packaging will change, the distribution will change. Like, so it's gonna be a while though before that happens. So like I said, if you're some fucking rich person that watches views with 40 views on YouTube, uh, if you ask me, like, I'm on XMPP, I'm on Matrix, you can just comment on my YouTube video or whatever. If you've got a lot of money to fucking throw away, you can send it my way or just buy me something, and I will test it, I will use it, and I'll try to integrate it into the system. There will be, if you have any suggestions on what to get for that too, feel free. Like if you're like, oh, I have an eye tracker and it's open source or whatever, so I'll send you one of those. That's another thing that would be cool. Like I said though, nobody watches these videos, nobody cares, but everybody says that accessibility distros are a cool thing. They just don't really understand why I'm doing what I'm doing in the way I'm doing it, and it's because I've kind of delved too deep into this, and so my use case is starting to get narrower and narrower, and it's becoming less and less generic. But I'm still trying to keep it broad so that people aren't too opinionated, And I may have to actually support two different options at the end of the day, which is just something you got to do. Like X11 and Wayland are there for a reason. So then I got to worry about NVIDIA. I don't have a laptop touchscreen that runs NVIDIA. I don't know if I'd recommend it. Like, it's cool, but I can't guarantee that any of the software will work in NVIDIA because I actually have had issues on my desktop of things not working on NVIDIA. I don't know if I can test. I can probably test that stuff on my desktop. But yeah, NVIDIA 2-in-1 would be a very interesting piece of equipment. I don't even know if they make those, but if they did, you got fucking $2,000 to blow on a laptop, let me know. Uh, yeah, obviously this is fucking e-begging central, but the distro is actually coming along nicely. I do have a working demo that I use daily. I have somebody else using it daily. So it is working. It just needs to be packaged and shipped, and I need to test more hardware, basically. That's really what it comes down to, because right now it's like, if you got a 2-in-1, yeah, that works. Like, yeah, you should be able to install it on a 2-in-1. So if you need that, that is available. If you want help before the distro ships, again, send me a comment down here. I will help you set up this environment if you are a caregiver or somebody that has a disability. And you're like, oh, I have a 2-in-1 that I've been using, but I want to put Linux on it for God knows what reason. Yeah, I will help you with that. We can even do like a video conference if you need that. I'll help you out. Um, that's kind of all I had to say right now. That's really what I've been working on. Sorry, I haven't uploaded much. They're kind of done with philosophy stuff on open source philosophy because I'm spiraling into a horrible proprietary mindset as this goes on. But yeah, check me later. Thanks.